Hi, my name's Mary Thompson. I'm a certified professional dog trainer with a number of credentials, owner of Happy Hound University, LLC in Elk Grove Village, Illinois. And this is a little presentation on how to find a dog trainer. It's a little strange that I'm telling people how to find other trainers. That is not me. I realize that. But I feel very passionately that everybody with a dog should work with somebody who knows what they're doing and who will do their best for the dog and the human without causing any undue harm. We'll talk a little bit about what I mean by that in a couple of slides, but that's kind of the motivation for me offering this. So we'll do next slide. All right. About me, I'm Mary Thompson. Again, I'm a dog trainer and behavior consultant. I live in Elk Grove Village, Illinois, which is like a half hour outside of Chicago. My business is Happy Hound University, LLC, and I've been in business for myself for about 5 years now, but I've been hobby training for about 10. I have a certificate in training and counseling with honors from the Academy for Dog Trainers. I'm a Pat Miller certified trainer level 1, a fear-free certified trainer, and I am a certified professional dog trainer knowledge assessed with the Certification Council for Professional Dog Trainers. So why a video about finding a dog trainer, especially from a dog trainer who offers online remote training? So I should just say, hey, use me. But that's besides the point. Dog training is a completely unregulated field. So not everybody knows this, and some people are surprised, and some people just haven't given it much thought. But there's licensing and standards for beauticians, for plumbers, for everybody, that they need to know how to do their job, and they need to know how to do it the right way, or else they can get in trouble. And dog training, there's nothing like that. You can have no experience with dogs, you can have no experience with animals with training, and you can say, hey, I'm a dog trainer. You create a website, you get a logo. I mean, there's places online where you can get a logo for like 20 bucks. Or you can illegally download somebody else's logo. I don't recommend that. And just start selling their services as a dog trainer or behaviorist, in quotes, and I'll talk about that in a slide. There is no central governing body. There's no licensing agency. There's nothing that protects the consumer, nothing that protects the general public from people who don't know what they're doing selling their services as trainers. So unfortunately, it is on the consumer to find a decent trainer, which is not fair. It's how things are. So that's why I created this little presentation, and I'm going to post it publicly and hopefully help some people find trainers who can help them and not potentially hurt or harm their dog, or just totally not do their job. Until dog training is regulated, I believe very strongly that dog training should be regulated. We're kind of out for ourselves. There are dogs that have been injured, lost. In my area, a number of dogs have been injured and lost, and even died because of uncredentialed trainers. It feels like, especially now with social media, every day I'm reading about some kind of tragedy. Dogs who are strung up by a choke chain until they can no longer breathe and they basically suffocate. And then the trainer goes, well, that's how we train. Your dog just wasn't cut out for it. No, that's unacceptable. That's not okay. Dogs who get loose when they're out of board and train and get hit by a car, dogs who are shocked with a shock collar within an inch of their life. This happens day in and day out, and it's an absolute tragedy. And it is literally something that keeps me up at night. So quick word about labels and titles. So you'll notice that in the first slide where I presented myself and my credentials, I did not call myself a behaviorist. I called myself a behavior consultant. And I did mention, the credentials that I had from schools that I have been through and tests that I've taken. A quick word just about the term behaviorist. Veterinary behaviorist and clinical applied animal behaviorist are the two terms that are kind of protected. So like I could not go around and say, I'm a veterinary behaviorist, because a veterinary behaviorist is a specialist vet who went on to specialize in behavior. So it's like a human psychiatrist. A certified applied animal behaviorist is a behavior professional who pursued graduate or doctorate level work in the field of animal behavior. So I cannot say I'm a CAAB. I cannot say I'm a veterinary behaviorist. That is not okay. However, I could say I'm a behaviorist. I could say Mary Thompson, Happy Hound LLC, behaviorist. I do not, because I think it's disrespectful to the title. I think it's disrespectful to certified applied animal behaviorists. I think it's disrespectful to veterinary behaviorists. And to be frank, any trainer who calls themselves a behaviorist, in my experience, I do not recommend them. I do not recommend them. I think that they are either being intentionally dishonest, or they are lying, or they don't know enough about the field to know that that's kind of a faux pas, which is worrying because they're taking people's money to train dogs. So beware somebody who just calls themselves a behaviorist who does not have a doctorate of veterinary medicine, or a doctoral degree in animal behavior. I also want to say that when a trainer says they're certified, make sure you ask who they're certified through. There are schools that are still old school. They are still teaching, things that you do not want you done to your dog. Okay, so that's great. All that's great. Where do I even start, right? So the first and foremost important thing that you need to check with a trainer when it comes to a trainer is, what methods are they using on your dog? What methods are they using on your dog? Are they using positive reinforcement training methods, or methods that include physical and verbal discomfort, startle, pain, etc.? The most recent scientific research supports using positive reinforcement training methods that use food, toys, praise to train, corrections-based training. So that includes the physical and verbal corrections, pain and intimidation, scary noises, so like cans of coins, collar corrections, electric shock, basically anything that your dog works to avoid, have all been correlated with increased fear and aggression in our pet dogs. So the American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior is a professional society and I think any vets can join who are interested in animal behavior. So it is also just a continuing education group. But they had a new statement that they posted, a position statement. And this is a quote: rewards-based techniques should be used for teaching common training skills, as well as to address unwanted behaviors. The application of aversive methods, which by definition rely on application of force, pain, or emotional or physical discomfort, should not be used in canine training or for the treatment of behavioral disorders. So even if you're dealing with a dog with behavior problems, corrections, aversive methods, not the way to go. Some independent certifying bodies that follow best practices. So these are organizations that trainers can choose to become certified through that typically follow best practices, but even if a trainer is certified through these organizations, so these websites are a good place to start, you still have to ask your questions. And I'll talk on the next slide about what questions I want you to ask. You still have to read their websites, still do the research, and honestly, look them up in the directory on the websites, because some people will download logos, post them on their websites, and they are not actually certified. In which case, I would contact the certifying body and I would say these people are lying and saying that they are certified through you, and then the certifying body can send them a cease and desist. Not like I know, and not like I've ever done that before. Hint, hint, I have done that before. Certification Council for Professional Dog Trainers. So this is the organization through which I'm certified. The International Association of Animal Behavior Consultants, also known as IAABC, and the Pet Professional Guild Accreditation Board. All right, so there's your websites to go look, and that's kind of a starting point. So you type in your zip code, it says, these 5 trainers are within 20 miles of you, and then you're going to start to do your research. The other thing you can look for is you can look for graduates of schools that follow best practices. So there are, like I had said, being certified alone is not enough, because there are schools in the country that still support the use of shock collars, that still support the use of old school training methods. So the schools listed below are the ones that I recommend if somebody comes to me and said, I want to be a dog trainer, these are the schools I recommend people look into. These schools all follow best practices in dog training and how to train humanely using positive reinforcement based methods. Okay, I already said that. So Jean Donaldson's Academy for Dog Trainers. I graduated from this academy with honors this year. It's an excellent 2-year program, incredibly thorough, offers great support. I will blindly recommend any graduates of Jean's Academy. Pat Miller's Academies, I'm a graduate of that program as well. The Karen Pryor Academy, the Victoria Stillwell Academy, and Catch Trainers Academy. So the most important thing is that all of these schools support the use of positive reinforcement training methods rather than anything that science does not support and follow. A quick note, if your dog is suffering from separation anxiety, there are 2 schools that focus on exclusively treating separation anxiety, and they're really awesome schools. I have several trainer friends who are graduates. I am not. So if you contact me asking to work on separation anxiety, I will refer you to my trainers and my colleague friends. And the good news is that even though some of those friends are in Canada and New York and Florida and California, they can work with you regardless of where you are. Because I am in Illinois, so if I get somebody from Illinois asking me for help, I can refer to them. And the reason for that is because the gold standard for treating separation anxiety is now treating it remotely. So using webcams and conferencing software like Zoom. And that means that trainers can help you anywhere in the world. Okay. So the 2 directories I send people to, or direct referrals, are graduates of Milena De Martini's Certified Separation Anxiety Trainer Program. So the letters for that are CSAT. And then Julie Naismith's SA Pro Trainers, and her website is subthresholdtraining.com. And her trainers are SA Pro after their name. All right. So you went to the certifying bodies, you went to the schools, you found somebody near you. Now what to do? Because I said, ask your questions, look at the website, et cetera, et cetera. So even if a trainer is certified through an awesome program and went to a great school, you're still going to check out their website. You're still going to ask them questions. Trainers are not regulated. I know I sound like a broken record, but you are going to be very studious and very careful when selecting a trainer for your dog. So some green light points, some green light things to look for. So these are signs that point to a competent and well-educated trainer. Number 1, they are transparent about their methods. If you are on a website and you are searching and searching and searching, and you see lots of flowery words, but you can't figure out, how do you do it? How do you train the dog? Are you using food? Are you using certain collars? What are you doing? That is a red flag. So if somebody says right on their page, I am a force-free positive reinforcement trainer, I do not use XYZ methods, that's a good sign, because it means that they don't want to beat around the bush. They want to be clear to you what they do. Okay. People who use positive reinforcement don't have to beat around the bush, and we don't have to sell, because people like to be nice to their dogs. But when you start to rely on getting physical and kind of mean with your dogs in the name of training, you have to use a lot of language to convince people this is the right way to do it, because people don't want to do that to their dogs. Okay. Uses food to train. I'll talk more about this on the next slide, so I'm not going to talk about that here. Uses labels like positive reinforcement based, force-free, fear-free. Doesn't have to use those labels, because some people just don't like labeling themselves. And some people think it's confusing to call themselves positive reinforcement. That's a whole other discussion. But if they use these labels, that's usually a good sign. If they have videos of their training, and I would recommend looking for trainers who do, don't have to be fancy, gorgeous, beautiful, well edited. Just, this is how I work with a dog. The dog should look happy. They should have loose, relaxed body language, open mouth, ears relaxed. There's a place by me, I don't know why I was doing this to myself, but I was looking at the video last night that they had posted, and the dog's tail is down, its ears are back, it barely looks at the trainer. It's repeatedly showing different stress signs, and just the dog looks miserable. Dogs should not be miserable while they're training. All right. No choke chains, prong collars, or electric collars on dogs in pictures. So if you're looking like this picture right here, this is Tilly. She's wearing a balance harness. This is a picture from my website. It should be obvious what equipment the person uses, and then has credentials and continuing education listed. And they should have some continuing education from recent years. If you've got a trainer and they say, I learned everything 10 years ago, I don't need to learn anything new. This field is new. This field is, there's a lot of change. I mean, there's things changing from 5 years ago when I first opened my business. I look back and I go, oh, I wouldn't do that now. So, people should be pursuing continuing education. Credentialed, competent trainers should be pursuing education. All right. So, is using food really that important? The answer is probably yes. Okay. A lot food using food kind of got a bad rap because we used to think that the dog should just do the behavior because they respect us or because they want to please us. That is very old school thinking. We know now that all living organisms with a brain, from a hermit crab to a dolphin to a human, behave. They use their behavior in order to acquire good stuff and avoid bad stuff. That is the purpose of behavior. Is we're constantly manipulating the environment to either get good stuff or avoid bad stuff. There is no magical, oh, just behaving to behave. And so when we expect our dogs to behave just to behave, we're not going to get the results we want. So choosing not to use food is a red flag in my opinion, because a trainer who isn't exploiting one of the easiest motivators with the fewest side effects is an ineffective trainer. And if the trainer isn't using food to motivate behavior change, what are they using? There has to be something. There has to be something motivating behavior change. Okay. Dogs don't change their behavior just because they like the person. That's just not how it works. Um, if you have a dog with a sensitive stomach or food restrictions, so a lot of people go, oh, that's great, but my dog can't. I promise, I have worked with dogs who had, serious GI issues. I've worked with dogs who had allergies. We find ways to make it work. Okay. And if you're still hesitant to use food, I want you to think of it this way. You have to feed your dog, right? If you don't feed your dog, that's neglect and abuse. So if you have to feed your dog anyway, why would you throw it in a bowl for free if you can use it to train and teach your dog what you like and what you don't like, and teach them when you jump, you don't get snacks, and when you sit, you do get snacks, and oh, look, he's sitting more because snacks happen. Okay. So using food is important. Yes, you can use praise. Yes, you can use play. Yes, you can use life reinforcers like access to the backyard and the ability to chase squirrels. But not using food is not the most effective way to train. It just isn't. All right. Some red flags that signs that the trainer may be bad news. So pictures of dogs wearing choke chains, prong collars, and electric shock collars. There's trainers where you go on and they're wearing all three of them. That's a huge red flag. If a trainer claims to be self-taught exclusively, listen, I'm great with dogs. I volunteered at animal shelters in high school. I still volunteer at animal shelters. I was a dog walker professionally for 5 years. I've handled, thousands of dogs in my life, but I did not open my business and just say, oh, I'm self-taught. I had mentors, I had teachers. I went through 2 professional schools. I go to webinars and conferences, online conferences all the time. So being self-taught is not enough. And it's ridiculous that somebody can say they're self-taught and call themselves a trainer. Again, no continuing education that you can find. They need to be learning from other people, other respected people who follow the science. Unclear about methods they use. So remember, a credentialed trainer who knows what they're doing will be very clear about the methods that they use up front. You will not have to search for it. Any talk about respect as the leader or the alpha, any talk about being dominant. Dominance theory is very old school thinking, where you have to make sure the dog respects you as the pack leader. I could go on and on about that, but just know that it's not relevant to dog training anymore. Claiming to turn around fear or aggression in just one lesson, or claiming immediate results. This is one of the biggest red flags. And honestly, the dogs that I have worked with who have gone through trainers like this, have their fear and aggressive behavior escalated drastically after their session. Okay. So do not believe anybody who says they're going to fix your dog's aggression in one session. It's not going to happen. Guarantees of behavior change. Any guarantee of behavior change is dishonest and not ethical. Bad reviews. So look for bad reviews. If a bad review says, oh, they didn't call me back fast enough, or oh, I don't like the fact that they XYZ business policy. Okay, everybody gets bad reviews sometimes because of a miscommunication or just life, right? But if there's a bad review that says, they lost my dog, or my dog came home and had urine burns because he was crated for 24 hours a day, or my dog had punctures in his neck, we don't know what happened. Do not use that trainer. Do not use that trainer. Anybody who says not to use food in training, and anybody who says to never use a harness for your dog. All right, so you've done your homework, you went online, you checked all the information out, checked out the reviews, got some referrals. Now, when you are actually asking the potential trainer how they train, these are the questions I want you to ask. Okay, so question number one, what happens when my dog gets it right? So the answer should be that your dog gets stuff they really like and want more of. So probably food. Like I said, it's important that the trainer uses food. But for some dogs, toys are going to work as well. If the trainer claims the dog just gets praise and affection and just learns to work for you for praise and affection, that's not good enough. And typically, the trainer is using some kind of aversive training tool to suppress other behaviors. Praise and love is just not enough to motivate the vast majority of dogs. What happens when my dog gets it wrong? So, a humane credentialed trainer will talk about setting the dog up for success and possibly taking a step back to help the dog if they're getting it wrong. If the trainer says they're going to correct the dog to let them know what's right, that's a red flag. Ask what they mean by correct. Don't let them be vague. Are you talking collar corrections? Are you going to get physical with my dog? Are you verbally correcting my dog? What does a correction mean? Make sure the trainer tells you. And then the third question is, what tools do you use or recommend for training? So humane trainers are going to use food, toys, harnesses, and flat collars. If a trainer recommends, and especially if they require using prong collars, choke chains, shock collars, electric collars, slip leads, that's a sign to run. No trainer who really knows what they're doing is going to be using those tools. Um, because they've all been shown to have adverse effects with our dogs. Again, we go back to some of it causes negative emotional fallout. Credentialed humane trainers are going to stay away from those tools. All right, help. There's no one local to me. So maybe you went online, maybe you looked at the schools and the directories and there's no one local. So the good news is that remote training and behavior consulting is widely available because honestly, because of COVID-19. I know I first offered online training when everything shut down and we weren't supposed to leave our house. So the vast majority of educated dog trainers are now offering remote training. Truthfully, you do not have to be in a room with a dog in order to help somebody learn how to train their dog. If somebody needs to get their hands on a dog, then either they need more help learning how to instruct people or they're physically manipulating the dog, which is not how we want to train. So most really good trainers at this point are able to offer some kind of online service. I shouldn't say most, I should say many. So go to the listings for the Academy for Dog Trainers, the Karen Pryor Academy, Pat Miller Academies, Pet Professional Guild, IAABC, and find a trainer who offers online or remote training. And it really is a great option. All right, some closing thoughts. I promise I don't like to scare the pants off of people, but choosing the right trainer for your dog may be one of the most important things that you do for your dog in their lifetime. Again, training is an unregulated industry. And because of that, every day there are people out there abusing dogs and calling it training. And I see dogs who are really traumatized by some of the stuff that's done to them every week. So please be careful with your dogs. They only get so many years with us. They deserve to be treated right. If you have questions, concerns, need a referral, or you want to work with me, you can find my website listed below and my email listed below. I am happy to help you find, if you are having trouble finding somebody who can work with you that uses positive, aversive free training methods, I am happy to help you. So please do shoot me an email and I will try my best. Okay. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Um, and have fun training with your dog.